Shalom and welcome to my class called Come Out My People. This is a class to help followers of the Mashiach or Christ and truth seekers to learn the difference between what is real and what is fiction in our world when it comes to governance. This is really a comparison between democracy for most people, as democracy is something that's over almost the whole world, and what the book of Ephesians calls freedom Yashar'el, or the Commonwealth of Israel. That would be chapter 2, verse 12. This is a covenant ministry, and its purpose is to help share crucial facts learned on the journey from being a flag-waving American and Canadian citizen to realizing that there's only one true government, one law, and one lawmaker over mankind. When an individual is regenerated into a child of Yahuwah, they are automatically translated back to the heavenly jurisdiction when true and real law is written on the follower's heart. The eternal covenantal terms or law between Yahuwah and Yahusha and his people is simple, very, very simple. Love the Creator by following and obeying his voice. Now you notice already that I used some Hebrew words as opposed to English, and I've put this very short chart up here for you showing you what I'll be using and what is traditionally found in most translations, English translations of the Bible. Now of course now the Bible that most people think about only has 66 writings in it, or books. But the collection I have that I work with is close to 90 writings or books, and like the Bible called the Et Sefer calls them is sephers, and that's the Hebrew word for like a book or something, some collection of writings. So the English version of the Hebrew word that's spelled YHVH, or what would be in Hebrew Yod He Vav He. I'm going to use Yahuwah because that's probably the best estimate I've found of his name in English. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. Matter of fact, I'm pretty well convinced it's not right. And not just because I don't think anyone really knows exactly how to pronounce his name. But his name is not Lord God. And so in Hebrew, God would be spoken as Elohim, which is actually better than the English, because when you say the word God, you don't know if there's a capital G or a lowercase g there, all right? And so Elohim actually translates into power. Yah would be short for Yahuwah, like Pete is for Peter, and Yahusha for Jesus, Hamashiach for Christ, Ruach for the Spirit, and Hakodesh for holy. So Ruach in Hebrew actually means breath or wind, and the word spirit actually has a pagan connotation to it. The spirits would be the spirits of demonic entities. Kadosh is better said as set apart. Again, the word holy having a pagan connotation to it. Actually, if you look at everything on the left side, the Hebrew, they would be what would be found in the Hebrew scriptures. But then on the other side, those words really, they all have pagan or man-made connotations to them. So, moving on, did you ever have that feeling like something is horribly, terribly wrong? Was that feeling so overwhelming that you had to do something about it, but didn't know what or how or why? Do you think that you're really truly free as a citizen in a democracy? What is jurisdiction, and how does it apply to the saints, to the Kodashim? Are you actively searching for answers to these questions as though your life depended on it? Okay, I'm going to start off right here. This is the conversation that took place between Yahusha and Pontius Pilate. This is really the heart of the matter that everyone faces today, especially those who are following him and have seemed to have gotten mixed up into something that maybe they shouldn't be in first place. Okay, so Yahusha said to Pontius, "My kingdom reign, or kingdom or reign, is not of this world." Okay, I like to put reign down because a kingdom, most of us have this picture or this idea in our minds that a kingdom is a place. Okay, so when you look at this scenario and this meeting, it's a meeting of two different reigns or rules or governments. And Yahusha is not saying he's going to overthrow the other at this point. He never makes any indication of that in the Gospels. Now we see it in other places where it says that he will eventually be the only rule. But where most people go wrong in their theology is they think that the kingdom hasn't come yet. And that is not true. Okay? So the key to understanding what is being said here is in the word this. And that is Greek G2889. That's would be for Strong's. That's a Strong's number. Okay, it's the word cosmos. Now in English we would see that spelled with a C, but in Greek it's with a K. Now here this is what helps us differentiate between. I'm sorry. This is not this. This is this world. What does the world have to do here? Okay, so it's an apt or harmonious arrangement or constitution, order, or government. It's an ornament or a decoration or adornment. Now it can also mean the world, the universe, or the circle, the earth with people on it. So there's lots of different ways to look at this, okay? But there's another word used for the earth in the scriptures, in both Greek and Hebrew, okay? So this is talking about what he sees before him, okay? And where he's standing. So in a sense, when he's standing in a Roman building, it's like a Roman government office because the governor, Pontius Pilate, is standing there. That's his realm. That's his rule and reign. Okay, so it's the two worlds that are here even today. Matter of fact, as we'll see in the next section of the teaching, it's the same arrangement that has been in place since the fall of mankind. Okay. Now we're going to move on to a little bit more detail about the Roman Empire. Not too much, but just a little bit there. Okay, let's first talk about what I have written at the top here: the Roman, Egyptian, Babylonian Empire. Okay, so the history really of Rome goes back to all the way to Babylon, and if we look at Revelation, the book of Revelation, we can see in there that it talks about the Babylon and coming out of it. So Babylon was the seat of man's rule with Nimrod and the Tower of Babel, and so that's where the seat was, and he was the first king. And then after he was assassinated by a guy in the scriptures, I won't tell you who at this point, but his power or seat of power moved to Egypt. Okay, and then a couple thousand years later, when there was a marriage between a Roman emperor and Cleopatra, the seat of power moved to Rome, and it's been there ever since. Okay, so by proxy of his soldier thugs, Governor Pontius Pilate of Judea, a godless but fair man of Rome, publicly crowned and titled over our king, Yahusha, nearly 2,000 years ago. This act of state has never been rescinded. Okay, Rome bowed its knee to this king hanging on a cross, as witnessed by the Roman centurion, an official of the state, in these words, "Truly this was the Son of Elohim." Since then, those of the world have had to face the fact that its leader, Satan, and the domain of darkness, is superseded in power by the incomprehensible sovereign King of Kings. Coming to grips with this for the worldly rulers has taken many centuries to fully comprehend. Yahusha's renewed reality has been manifesting by a never-ending flow of those who would, by faith, elect him as their untouchable king. Okay? Today, Mashiach's remnant is once again realizing that regeneration changes a man's state of being, not only from the dead to the living, and from sinner to set apart saint, but also from self-other governance to submission solely to him. 300 years after Mashiach tabernacled with us, secular Roman Emperor Constantine I realized this Elohim and his people were too powerful to beat. So he unequally yoked Rome, the state, a dead body, with the ecclesia, which is the living body of Mashiach, creating the church or the circ. This arrangement between state and church, feigning the Old Testament king Levitical priesthood setup, has been ongoing since then. Now, at the end of the age, Yahuwah calls his people and is calling to them now to be once again separate and set apart from this unrighteous and sinful contrivance. Why? Because it is the law. Do not be unequally yoked. He is helping his bride, a remnant, prepare for the end of lawlessness so he can fully restore paradise on earth and ban wickedness from it forever, as recorded in 1 Enoch 1, chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. So, we're going to look at the difference between Yahuwah's perfect law, or Torah of liberty, which is James 1:25, and man-made fictional gentilius legal bond age governments. We're going to learn what the set-apart rule of Yahuwah is really like, unlearn the lies, traditions, and false doctrines of men regarding jurisdiction, replace the beast system, thinking with sanctifying thoughts, and then deal with double-mindedness so that we can resist evil, deception, and further harm by the domain of darkness, and claim and recover your birthrights and property. So this is the course outline we're going to do in the beginning: covenant people, not contract, word definitions, law versus legal, of the world, Satan's kingdoms versus in the world, rule reign of Yahusha, two jurisdictions on the record, statement of birth, naming, and the final exodus in the way to the promised land. That should be about it. Thank you so much for your time. May you be blessed and have a peaceful day in Yahusha.